Just everybody?
Well, no, they're these guys.
No, I'm a commissioner.
Oh, I don't know. Mr. Mayor, is the planning commission going to meet over here also?
Yes.
Well, looks like we have everybody here that's planning to be here, so if y'all want to, we'll go ahead and get started. I've got 5:59, I don't think 1 minute's gonna matter that much. I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting of the Education Committee tonight. You did have an agenda set out in minutes from the last meeting. No need to call roll over, check everybody in that's here, I believe. And the only one we're missing tonight is Linda Sue Johnson, and she had emailed me and told me she would not be able to be at the meeting tonight. So, appreciate her letting us know that.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman, you probably have it. Are you school board representative, Mr. Sullivan, you got him on your email list and everything?
Is he going to be the school board representative for this committee?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no.
He was elected that at the September school board meeting, and so he will be representing the school board. As the old representative, I came tonight to kind of get things off on a good start.
Just make sure I get your email and everything before you leave, and yes, sir, we'll be good to go. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Sullivan, glad to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
First item of business will be to approve the agenda. Mr. Harsh?
Move to approve the
We have
agenda.
a motion to approve and a second by Mr. Gully. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next will be to approve the minutes from the 7-3 meeting. Like I said, I did send those out to everybody. Appreciate the very thorough job done on those minutes. Is there any corrections, additions to the minutes?
Make motion approved.
We have a motion to approve and a second by Mr. Walsh. Did you get that one?
Get me.
Mr. Ford, Mr. Walsh. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is none. First item of business would be to elect officers. We need to elect for the upcoming year. We do this every year at the end of the year. And we'll be electing a chair, vice chair, and secretary. Mr. Gully.
Nominate Mr. Jewell for chair.
Have a motion from Mr. Jewell and a second from Mr. Harsh. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All in favor of Mr. Jewell, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, vice chair.
Who is currently the vice chair?
Mr. Ford. I do believe. That's correct. Mr. Ford is vice chair. Mr. Harsh.
Move to nominate Mr. Ford as vice chair again.
Have a nomination for Mr. Ford, for Mr. Harsh, and a second by Mr. Walsh. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none. All in favor of Mr. Ford, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next is secretary, Mr. Gully.
Nominate Mr. Harsh.
I decline.
I am too, if you can tell by that.
Hear that?
That's why you have an election.
That's great.
Nominations for secretary.
Now it's your turn, Richard. Nominate him.
I'm going to decline as well.
I second the motion.
Are you declining?
I am, guys, it's not that I don't want to, it's just, I don't want to, I ain't got time right now, I'll just be honest with you folks.
I understand that.
Straightforward, I'm just being straightforward. I try to take really good minutes, I'll take 2 or 3 pages of minutes when I leave here, and I.
Well, you do an excellent job with them, and I really hate to see you not do it, but we certainly can understand.
There might be a day in the future I can come back to that position, but at this point, I would ask if you can give me a chance to take a little bit of one piece off the puzzle.
That's understandable.
Need nomination for secretary.
Nominate Richard Hartsville then.
Decline again.
Are you declining again?
Yes. I don't have time right now.
Nominate Phil Ferguson.
Oh, wait a minute, I decline that, I don't want that, no. Oh, I'm good.
This sounds like a planning commission meeting.
I've seen this happen before, let's say the first time.
It's not here.
Planning to sit there, I'm moving the meeting.
I'm saying, I'll make Linda Sue Johnson.
I said that.
Yeah, they're supposed to nominate somebody that's not here, right?
That'd be just the-
They used to say, you know, hey, you become the president of the Little League, miss a meeting.
Did I hear a nomination for Ms. Johnson?
Yes, I did, yes, sir.
Nomination and second for Ms. Johnson, all in favor, please say aye. Ms. Johnson will be duly elected as our secretary.
I'll elect her.
If she declines, we'll take it up at the next meeting.
I will take tonight's meeting.
Is that, yes, please finish tonight. Folks, we laugh about this, but it's actually a whole lot bigger job and more time consuming being secretary than it is even being chairman.
Absolutely.
And I do appreciate the great job that Mr. Gully's done. He's done an excellent job with that, as he does everything he does. First item, old business, update on the middle school roof project. Dr. Satterfield, Mr. Kerr, Mr. Sullivan, we need to get into this discussion on where we are with the roof and what we need to do and what y'all planning to do.
Well,
Whoever wants to take the lead on it.
I talked to begin with. The roof project, as you all know, started, I guess, they started in September, August, and got started in August. And during that time, they discovered, or the gentleman doing the work here, that there were some water issues coming from the gymnasium. That no one, since the gym doesn't leak itself visually, it took an expert, someone that does that for a living, to discover that. And so he has made a recommendation to Dr. Satterfield that we included the gym in the roofing project. Now, how it came back to the meeting that we had with Mr. Jewell and the mayor and Dr. Satterfield, and most of these guys here, was Clint had instructed Angie, his bookkeeper, to contact the auditor, state auditor, to find out how we should do this. The auditor at that time recommended or said it had to go through the county court. And so subsequent to that information, we set up a meeting with myself, Dr. Satterfield, Mr. Jewell, the mayor, John, was he the gentleman that was here? And we all met and discussed it, and had a good long discussion about it. And then, as I recall, we left it to where Angie was going to get back with the auditor to find out what, I guess, exactly we need to do.
Details of it.
Right, okay. As she got back with them, and the auditor had more information about how the court had passed it, and the school system was handling all the money and everything, the auditors then ruled that only the school board had to manage the project, had to pass it, and from that point on. I don't know why the auditor didn't do that in the beginning. Obviously, they didn't have enough information or something, but that's what happened. And But finding out that information, Dr. Satterfield emailed Mr. Jewell, the mayor, let him know all that, and I believe it was the chairman that suggested we come tonight and talk about it, because as we do want to make sure that we're transparent with everything and that everybody knows what's going on. And again, we just want to know who's supposed to handle it, make sure it's done right, and so that nobody comes up with an audit finding or something over it. And Dr. Satterfield, have I left anything out?
No, sir. The only thing that I would add is that from the very beginning, with Brandon, I'd like for him to speak about the specifics, because I know he'll want to know. But once he's on the roof and he started the work, I best remember him saying, I'd like to put this gymnasium roof on while I'm still here, because it's going to cost you a lot more money down the road. And I'm going, yeah, I know, but, again, we never, ever discussed doing the gymnasium roof, because it physically was not leaking at any time. And we were trying to, be responsible, not spend any more money than we had to. But Brandon said, well, I'm just afraid that you're not going to be happy with this job, because, and that's where he needs to talk to you about it, that from the top, there's water infiltrating the wall above the gym, and then leaching down through that wall, and at some point, then would get under the metal roof that you've got, like over that science lab, that office area, that type of thing. He's just saying, I think when I leave here, you might not be happy with the job that when I leave. And so we had $90,000 in contingency. And I don't know, Brandon can talk more about that in a second, how much more, if we might find something else going on. But there were some gas lines, John, that we had budgeted for in that contingency that did not have to be removed.
Right.
So we relocated a roof unit, and we've taken out the gas lines, and we've taken that $90,000 contingency, and it has moved to $110,000. And in the meantime, when Brandon told me about, you may not be happy with this, I said, well, give me a price on the middle school roof, which is a change order, and for $115,400 and something, I have to remember, but 115 and a half. He said we can put that roof on that gymnasium. So the difference there between our contingency and what the roof would cost to put on the gymnasium is approximately about $5,000. I want you to be sure you're hearing that we're not asking for any more money from the commission, that we were just wanting to use our contingency money, or I don't know if we want to. I want to take it to the board on Thursday and let them make that decision. But I thought that when Brandon told me I may not be happy with that job, I thought it was important for the mayor, Chairman Jewell, and this week for our school board to hear this and make a determination. So that's where we are. But I'd like for Brandon to speak about the nuances of what you've seen up there. You're the professional roofer, not us.
Well, we talked about some of this a couple weeks ago. Around the perimeter of the gym is a parapet wall. So the roof actually slopes into that parapet wall, and there's 2 scuppers per side to allow water to come out. Well, it has a spray foam. It has the same spray foam roof up there that the whole, which is about 20 years old. So at a minimum, the life expectancy on that spray foam roof is basically up. weren't having any problems at this point, which I know you are with it, you're going to have problems within the next few years. And by that time, we'll be gone. And it will be a lot more expensive to, for us to remobilize and come out here to do, you know, less than 10,000 square feet. But if you walk around inside the building, all along where that gym wall is, all the ceiling tiles are damaged. And I think the presumption that it was coming from this side of the gym, and I think it is in some areas, but most of it, I believe, is coming from the gym itself. It's getting inside that wall and leaking down.
Is it possible to gutter it, transfer the water somewhere else?
Well, it's a parapet wall, so there's no way to put a gutter because the roof is approximately 2 feet lower than the eave. Now, when we do it, the eave will be at the top of that parapet wall because we'll retrofit it up.
So what was your estimation of fixing it? I couldn't understand you.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's,
$115,000.
let me tell you exactly here. $115,737.
Let's put a roof on the gym.
Yes. And you got $10,955,000 in contingency, so you got approximately 11.
110.
Let's what did I say?
10,000.
No, 110,000.
What's the difference in that? Because I'm sure that's going to be the next question. What's the exact difference?
$5,000.
Yeah,
Roughly.
about
$5,200.
I couldn't remember.
Let me jump in. Where we at, we questioned it early on about the gym roofs, and we were told that the gym roof was in good shape and didn't need to be a part of the project. And nobody thought it did need to be a part of the project. And I understand the water infiltration with parapet walls coming through the wall and all this sort of thing. We had funded a 20% contingency. It's not looking like they're going to have to use that. So the money has already been appropriated for this project. You'll be adding this to a part of the project. And that's what the comptroller's office said, that we had already approved this amount of money for that roof project. So we don't have to do anything else. It's up to them if they want to continue with it or not. And I think some of us, a few of us, were concerned about the gym roof in the very beginning, talking stages of all this. I know I was. So I'm not surprised. I'm just thankful that we're not having to use that contingency money with something else and trying to come up with money on top of that. So this is not going to take a new bond issue or anything like that. They're talking about anything that's over and above that, the school board is going to fund that. So they're not asking us for any more money. They don't even have to ask us our approval to do this, but they wanted us to know for sure what was going on and the why. And that's the purpose of what we're trying to let everybody know. In the end, it's not going to cost us any more money than we thought it might, maybe a little bit, but not from the county budget, from their budget. And of course, I brought up, well, yeah, but at the end of the year, you're going to be crying you don't have enough money, and we're going to have to make it up. But that's a different issue. And
that's coming anyway.
That's going to happen anyway. So, but anyway, so that's where we're at with it. It would make a lot of sense to me to go ahead and do the entire roof so that if there is a leak, it's all on them. You know, they can't say, well, it's that over there leaking, it's not us. They do it all, and there's a problem, it's all on them. And that's the main reason that I would be, and I felt like it was a reasonable request and good idea to go ahead and do it. Mayor, did you want, I'm sorry, Mr. Ford.
last time we met, we talked about using some of that contingency money, it's even in the minutes, to help pay for the architectural fees. $63,000 worth, to be exact.
No, I believe that the architectural fees is in the amount of the loan.
They were included in it.
Yeah, $60,000. I don't have it in front of me, but
It's right there.
okay, I think it's 60,000.
Middle of the second page, or the first page.
90,000 fees.
Middle of the first page.
Number three.
It says
Number three.
approximately $63,000 in architectural fees.
I don't see it being a problem, because they got a good bit of money in their educational debt fund. I mean, if it ain't enough to cover it, it shouldn't hit you very hard anyway.
We don't think so. And I'd like to hear Brandon say this one more time. Brandon, you saying it's $115,000 to do the gym roof while you're still on site?
Correct.
What would you estimate that to be, let's say, 5 years down the road, and we had to start that?
I think it would easily be at least 140, at least. I can tell you that when it came back from I told them this the other day, when it came back from our estimator, it was 132. And I emailed my director of operations and our vice president. Go ahead.
What kind of roof are you talking about putting on the gym now?
Same exact kind
The
of.
metal?
Yes, metal.
We're just gonna roll it over?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be retrofitted up to the same height as the parapet wall.
Or you're gonna have to frame it?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, it's got to raise up about 2 feet, maybe a little over 2 feet in some areas. The pitch on it will be a little bit higher than the 112 that's on the majority of the.
Well, I went into it, well, I think we ought to go and fix it. I mean, we done spent, looked like $1 million, a little over. Getting to this point, it'd be stupid not to go and fix it if it's in that bad shape. And I trust your word for it, I don't think you tell us wrong.
Mayor, did you want to add anything to this?
I was just saying that when you approved the bond, I think it was $1,049,000 something, that's what the commission voted to fund. And now that's why the comptroller's office is saying up to that amount, the board can use it for these expenditures. And I have no doubt, just like you done, Mr. Ginn, that he's telling the truth, that it is where he thinks some of those problems coming from the gym roof. If we don't fix it now, they're going to have to come back later, and it's going to cost us more money than it is now. I think we ought to go ahead and do it right while we're there. And that the schools agree to any overage over what we've already funded under the bond, they're going to cover. And whether they come back later wanting more money, whether they're already going to ask for more money on that anyway.
If I understand it correctly, all they're asking for is permission to go and fix it anyway.
We're not asking for anything, we're just giving you the facts about what's going on. But we're not asking for anything. This is more an informational discussion.
They don't need approval from the county commission or anything, it's just the
We don't
board's
need
got
to
to
approve it anyway.
spend it that
Well,
way.
we're just trying to be
We
transparent.
want us to know, we wanted the commission to know the situation, the why, and the what. And it does not need to have a vote, does not need to have any approval. They're going to take this, but what we do need to know is that where we thought we might get contingency money not spent, it's going to be spent. That's the only thing, but we've already approved it up to that amount for that roof project. You're just basically adding to that roof project, but you're not taking the money from what it was approved for, because it was approved for a roof on the middle school. You're not taking it out here and spending it on the football field. It is to be used on that roof project. So that's why the comptroller's office said that nothing else had to be done, because that money that was appropriated was for that project. Mr. Gold, I believe you were next.
Yes, sir. So how far along are we with the project at this point? That'd be my
We have-
concern and contingency already.
We have about 30% of the roof, excluding the gym, framed. I'm sorry, 50%. About 50% of it framed, and we've got about 40% of it paneled. just the roof panels are on. Starting on the 19th, I'll have a bunch more guys out there. We'll be going on the framing, start adding on, we're gonna be starting hanging gutters and trim and getting ready for wall panels in the areas where we're gonna have wall panels. But I'm gonna have a lot more guys out here, so it's gonna start moving a lot faster.
If I'm not mistaken, I had a question about the last time we met. You said you'd probably be out of there by the middle of December.
It's a very good possibility. It's a very good possibility. Adding on the gym could add, well, it will definitely add some more time to that. And that was in the,
No, I'm not trying to hold, that was a roundabout what you thought. I'm not
Right.
trying to hold you to any deadline.
Well, if you're adding the gym room to it, that probably will need more time.
I
You're
asked
also
for,
getting into a time of year where
I asked for
you're
30
not
more
gonna be able
days.
to work. So your days of being able to work are getting thinner and thinner and thinner.
Yeah.
That's
My
right.
concern is with that, you're taking contingency money and putting it onto another project.
No, it is part of that project. It is.
Yeah, but one that we did not approve. I'm saying, what I'm looking at is your controller. Your comptroller might be the one who gives you a fifth down, but no, we didn't approve that. Wasn't brought before us. We talked about it, but I'd check that out before I said up front that you could do that.
Well, we checked with the comptroller's office, and they told us that it can.
That you could use a contingency.
We've got an email exchange with the chairman dealing with comptroller's office.
I'm just concerned about it because it is a different project in the way you look at it.
Well,
Well, what she's saying in the resolution, it says to finance certain public works projects consisting of the replacement of the roof at Jim Satterfield Middle School, the acquisition of all other property real and personal approved to and connected with such work, and to pay for all legal, fiscal, administrative, architectural, and engineering costs. What she's saying is on the gymnasium's on the same campus, and it is attached to the building, therefore it is part of the project. And that we have that from her in an email.
I've run into this on other past projects, and you wouldn't be able to take that money and move it to the middle school or the elementary school and do a roof project there, but on the same campus, the same facility, you can.
yes.
As I was stating, I'm for, and I appreciate your opinion that you give us here in this part, and your professional opinion in this case. All my worry was at the place we're at 40% of the project finished, and we spend our contingency money now. My worry is where we look at the future of that part. What if we run into an obstacle that we've already agreed upon? So what's the contingency plan for spending the
Well,
contingency money?
the board definitely understands and will have to understand that they'll be responsible for that, because like the mayor was talking about, the money that's been appropriated is the money that's been appropriated and no more. So the board would have to take on that.
The manner in which they're attaching and doing the framing on this portion of the building that they completed today, the framing of the rest of the building is identical and similar. So I think we're far enough down the road to understand that it's likely we're not going to run into anything.
I think it's unlikely. I would never guarantee it, but I do think it's unlikely.
But we've been across the top of that roof, and we've relocated a unit. We replaced the fan motors
Correct.
up there. We decided to keep the gas line. So Brandon, I think I can confidently say that unless we run into something unforeseeable,
Yeah.
we think we have addressed all the foreseeable change orders that we would inquire.
You know, if it was a different framing system, if there had been a huge expansion or addition to the building in later years where that building was substantially different than what we're attaching to now, I might be a little more cautious and want to wait another month or so, but I think it's all the same type structure.
I'm still cautious about it.
Sure, yeah. Well, I've been through this situation once before. when we built the original middle school, which is attached to the elementary school, gentleman, just like Brandon here, that was doing the work on the roof, probably about 10% done with the roof. He came to the, what do you call the meeting you have weekly or
Construction meeting?
construction meeting. And he told us in that construction meeting that you guys aren't going to be happy with this roof. It's going to leak. And so we asked him what, you know, the architect happened to not be there that day, but, you know, so he told us, he said, I've done a lot of these roofs. It's going to leak. The way this is drawn, it's going to leak. And so they got with the architect, Mr. Mabry out of Cookville, and he called his engineers, and they basically said, tell the guy to shut up, build it like it's drawn. Day one, it leaked. I have trust in people that do this kind of work every day. They know what they're doing. And I've never forgotten that. And it's been 20-something years ago. And it's just something that has stuck with me all this time.
And also remember the whole genesis of this roof is to try to extend the usable life of that building, which will save us much taxpayer money where we don't have to build another school for some great amount of time. So if we can protect our investment and extend the usable life, I believe it'll be money well spent.
Where I'm at and what I'm hearing is this is what they want to do. We've appropriated funds. They want to use them this way. And they know, and we know, we're not going to fund any more over that. As long as we have that understanding and agreement, I think that's all we need to do at this point in time. Mayor, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think going by the comptroller's office, and I don't have the resolution in front of me, but I think the way the resolution was drawn up, it would encompass the change order to add this gym roof into it. It was written in such a broad way that if anything came up, that the contingency money could be used for it. So I think going by the comptroller's office has responded to the schools, I don't think there's a problem there, that it will meet the qualifications of the resolution and it can be used for that purpose. And I'd rather go ahead and fix it right and have it come back and fix it again.
And it's a great point that the chairman made, was if there is something, we know who to call.
Yeah.
And that's a huge, anybody that's been through construction knows that it's always that.
Somebody else's fault.
Well, even if 5 years down the road y'all decide to do the gym, well, it has to go out to bid and we might not get it. Then you've got two roofers that are going to work.
Exactly.
I think we need to put this in the hands of the school board, if that's their decision. Have our blessing.
We plan to take it to the school board on Thursday.
Ms. Moore.
I do hope that you all do go ahead with what you presented tonight, and since it's leaking and have the contingency money, I'm glad you all are gonna go ahead and buildings don't need to leak.
Well, we can't speak for the board, but Dr. Satterfield has it on the agenda.
Good.
Okay, any other discussion about that? New business. Dr. Satterfield, do you want to go over the quarterly financial report of this committee, or?
I'm sorry, I did not bring it, Mr. Jewell.
He had asked to put this off to the November meeting, so we'll just cover that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did not think about bringing it this year.
We will not, he's going to be out of town for the October meeting, so we won't have that quarterly report to the November meeting. And I've already told him that would be okay. Is there any other business that needs to come before the meeting? Mayor, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Well, since we have a financial thing, since this is my last meeting, and Mr. Sutherland will be taking over after this, I just want to make everyone aware that the school system's budget is still running at a deficit. It hasn't magically gone away in the 2 years that we said we weren't going to ask for no money. It's still there. And something, at some point in time, is gonna have to happen. Now, if we can run it down to nothing, and we can come in here and have to ask you for a copier, or every time we need one, I mean, it's gonna get to that point. If that's what the county court wants. I don't really think the majority of the court wants that. I think there's a few that might, but, I would hope not. But here we are in October, and I just want to give notice that when budget time comes, you know, and we'll have more accurate figures then, and that type of thing, but it has not gone away. It's still there. So just want to let everybody know that. Don't want no surprises.
Might let the committee know the new structure on the school board, who's what.
Oh, okay.
Because they may not know, what.
Yeah. Well, we have two new members. Jason Sullivan, it represents the 231 area, and Miss Barbara Towns, lives up in Cape Co, is Districts 1 and 2. And just like y'all, in your September meeting, new officers are elected every year. And for some reason, they decided to elect me chairman. Regina Waller is the vice chairman. Anthony Crook is the pro tem. What was
Mr. Crook and Ms. Towns were the delegate assembly members.
They were elected delegate assembly members. Every year, the Tennessee School Boards Association has a convention. Part of that convention is a delegate assembly where they go in and vote on matters that usually have been brought up during the state education fall meeting, items that have come up, and they vote on those to send to the legislature and those type things. And so Ms. Towns and Mr. Crook will be representing us on that. And Mr. Sullivan was elected to be the new representative on this committee.
Thank you. Any other business? Any comments? Mr. Walsh?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Say aye. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Ms. Jill.
Thank you.